Hey guys, I'm back. It's your host, Toure. Welcome to my YouTube channel called Mundane. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. I hope everything that I share will be helpful and educational to all of you. Today's topic will be on love, sex, and taboo. Basically, I'll be talking about how these three factors have affected our life generally since childhood and some of the other intricate factors that have affected how we view sex, love, and how all of that is seen as a taboo. Let's talk about sex, how sex is viewed and how sex is perceived in the African context and generally around the world. But basically, I'll be focusing on how sex is seen as a taboo in Kenya. For example, among the Gikuyu, the Luo, and some of the other cultures, sex is a taboo and it's not something that is generally talked about publicly. So it has always been taught through rites of passage, whereby young kids during times of circumcision or other ritualistic events that happen during that age before you turn to an adult, the things you are taught about sex, and that's how basically we as Africans, or rather as Kenyans, we learn about sex. My problem comes with how sex education is passed down, although generally African parents avoid this conversation, and it's about time we actually had this conversation. I feel that as we grow up, this is something that should be more present in our lives to help us, grow and mature into emotionally, or rather, mature and emotionally present beings. And this will translate also into our relationships and into our love lives, which has been lacking for most of us. Uh, when sex education lacks, especially in the basic family unit, it translates to so many other issues. As I believe this translates to gender-based violence and sexual abuse. And I feel that when we are equipped with knowledge, through sex education, it becomes detrimental to how we approach certain situations in life. And that's my need for talking about this. I was doing research, especially on how sex education is passed down in our Kenyan community, and I learned that it's actually a mainstream issue that the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development has really tried to push into the curriculum of primary education, rather any other levels of education, but it has been slow. The implementation process has been slow, and I believe it will be proper if it is fast tracked, because I feel some of our youngsters really lack in this sector, and it has affected us so much. Recently, when I was doing research on STIs, or rather sexually transmitted diseases, a huge number of people who were infected among youngsters, people who are below 30 years, or rather below 25 years, the rates of infection, prevalence rates are higher on younger people because people do not have the means to protect themselves from these diseases. And this shows that our level of sex education is really low. I don't know exactly what we should do to fast track this process, but I feel like there are many other avenues that we can actually do this. And I feel like the first step to actually educating our youngsters is through the family unit, the basic unit. I feel like our African parents should take the mantle and actually teach their children about sex, proper sex, how to have safe sex, contraceptive, and family planning, because these are the most important things that we need to learn about, and it will help us avoid teenage pregnancies or gender-based violence, especially sexual assault, that has been happening with so many young people and also other elder people. And it is only through education, I believe, some of these issues will be tackled. Apart from research, per se, I believe culture has also played a huge part on how sexual education takes place. Most cultures really do not condone, and they see sex as a taboo. Sex talk is a taboo, it's seen as a taboo because I feel most of them are not comfortable about talking about it. And I really hope that this will change because it will go a long way into helping our youngsters as they grow up into becoming self aware and emotionally present to some of these major issues in their lives. And this will also, trickle down to how we perceive our relationships, or rather, how we are in relationships, in our love situationships. And it will really help. I believe so, it will help. For instance, I believe myself, I have mostly learned, through the wider community, because, we learn through observation and, through movies and whatnot. And my process wasn't as easy as people will think out here. Yes, right now I'm emotionally aware and present to some of the major issues that are happening around me. But I feel if I was taught from a younger age, things would have been easier for me growing up. Like, use of contraceptives, having safe sex, how to approach relationships. These are really important things to talk about in life. I don't know how other cultures, go about this, but basically, I feel like we as African people, or rather Kenyan, the Kenyan community, should actually do something about it. We should talk to our children. Parents, please. Let's take the mantle, offer proper education to our children. They need to know, prepare them, tell them what a penis is, what a vagina is. I mean, where are they going to learn about this? How to offer consent, when to always say no, how to behave when you're around other people, your peers, sexually. These are really important avenues for us to actually talk about. And through the education I've had, I'm in a better position right now because I've learned through the way, how to be better. I've educated myself. It's easy actually to do research, but I believe that research should be done with adults in the situation rather than letting kids who are just at the age, from 10 to 14 to 15, or rather from 15 to 18, to go to Google and actually research about sex. I mean, of course, they will find the answers that they need, but it does not have that human touch, the parental touch, the love touch that you actually need, the surety that things are going to be okay, and having someone to talk to, because you need to build trust, these kind of things, and this really is important as a factor to our future relationships. Trust is so important for us to have better relationships. And this will only start once we start talking about sex. And rather, sex education, being revered in our families. And even if it's not your parent who's talking to you directly, let your immediate relatives talk to you, maybe your uncles and your aunts, with the help of your parents. That I feel will be easier. It's not necessarily that your significant others are the ones who are supposed to give you this information, or rather share this information or pass it down to their children. Um, I feel that once a conversation is started, it will really help some of our young children. As I have shared earlier, about sex education. I will put a few links on my uh, description so that some of you can actually access some of the information with regards to sex education and some of the impacts of lack of sex education in a in a society and how it affects young people. And basically, I hope this information will be helpful to you. Oh, thank you guys so much for listening to my podcast, or rather channel. I'll be talking about so many other issues with as time goes by. Thanks for your time, and I hope that this was educational and helpful to you. Don't forget to subscribe, link the notification button. So thank you guys.